All right, well, my name is Dylan Spalding. I'm with Auto Racing Digest with Athlon Sports. So happy to be able to be here at the City Garage Motorsports shop here. Jason Smith is with me, the director. State your title. You're the
director of operations.
Here with the team. And so, Jason, obviously, this is really exciting. I appreciate you giving me some time to come in and get it. Obviously, we'll take a tour around the shop later. I'll have some video with that as well. But I thought we'd get to chat for a little bit and talk about this team, City Garage Motorsports. It's pretty cool. Local team here in Lakeland, Florida. You guys are very local with your sponsors as well that you have with Orlando Help, giving you guys a lot of backing. But I guess let's just talk about the beginning. Where did this venture begin? Where did this all come about? Because it's hard to believe that you have a small team operating out of Lakeland, but also getting to be on a national stage too is pretty cool.
Well, basically, my friend, who's also our team owner, Stuart Weiss, we were looking at things, and he's been a lifelong fan of racing, and just started throwing out ideas. Say, hey, somewhere down the road, we want to look into racing, and we started talking about some other options and some local stuff and that, and just didn't feel like that was exciting enough for us to be able to get behind and get some sponsors and get the exposure. And so then we started talking. He said, what if we did ARCA? I was like, okay, and I'm brand new to racing. And so I started making phone calls, and everybody with ARCA, NASCAR has been just so great, so accommodating. And we got to visit Daytona, started meeting some great team owners like Andy Hillenberg. We met Willie Mullins, who we actually bought the car from. Andy Hillenberg's been giving us a lot of technical advice. One of his guys actually set up the car. So it's really been an embracing of our team from Florida, because we're sort of the outcast, so to speak, of everybody's in North Carolina almost, and here we are in Lakeland, Florida. But as the great theologian Ted Lasso said, every disadvantage has its advantage. So it's been an interesting and exciting ride since February 1st.
Yeah, you talked about Daytona. You were there meeting with people, trying to just kind of get this thing off the ground. And then obviously with every ARCA team, you have to have those resources. Right. You have to be able to start it up. Yeah. It ain't easy, especially at this level. I mean, can you just talk about just being able to acquire the resources? Obviously, you have the shop here. You have the materials necessary to kind of get this thing off the ground, but you have to do the engines. There's just so many components to a car.
Find a driver.
Yeah, find a driver as well. So can you just talk about just kind of leading up to that first race, just acquiring the resources, being able to bring in Becca, who has been a great fit for the team, and also is a local product as well. So can you just talk a little bit about just getting those resources and being able to get to where you guys were back at IRP?
Yeah, and I'm just a big researcher, so I started looking at drivers' lists and trying to, find out, we didn't even know what we didn't know. Yeah. Then as we start chipping away at that, it becomes, okay, we don't know this, but we're acquiring parts of it. So I saw Becca's name and from Lakeland. I was like, okay, I'll find Facebook, Twitter, something. So connected with her. We went and met at a local coffee shop, me, her, and her dad. Had some discussions because I was just trying to find out what was anything about ARCA. She was had tested in January and qualified to be able to be on a team for ARCA. So she was going to be there. We said, okay, hey, give us some more information. So we talked a little bit, and then we went to Daytona. We saw her there, and she was racing for another team. Then they sort of rented that ride, and as we got talking, we knew she had earned her spot to be able to have an opportunity like this. I mean, she's won, I think, 95 local races, 20 state championships, was in NASCAR's Race to Diversity. Just a great family overall. Tom and Rita are awesome. Tom is actually now our crew chief. Rita, we sort of joke that she's our team mom because she made sure we were fed at IRP. She had the cooler. So it's really a true family effort, and that's what our owner Stuart really wants, is to have that family feel, because you don't always get that in professional sports. It can become too rigid. Yeah. And then that way too, it's we're football coaches, so we know that when you have that family aspect, you care about what you're doing just a little bit more than checking the box of, okay, we're doing X, Y, Z. We know why we're doing it too. It's sort of what the passion and the purpose is for doing it. And so it all just really came together. We've been very blessed of things falling into place and making connections and being able to find an awesome driver like Becca that we know is going to do great things in the series. And so we're just, moving along 4.5 months in now. But, things have really orchestrated together. Sponsors, we started reaching out locally. We've had connections with our main sponsor, Orlando Health, is our official healthcare provider. And because of a relationship we've had with them from another association we were in, we were able to leverage that into them being the main sponsor. It's like they say, to make a small fortune in racing, you got to start with a large one. Yeah. Well, we had to find something to be able to write checks for a car and an engine and stickers and wrap and everything else. So everything has sort of been orchestrated along the way, and just we're continuing to try to work. The more you work, the more opportunities you find. I truly believe that.
You talked about Becca. Obviously, she has a pretty extensive racing background, not only just going locally here in this area, obviously up to Auburndale and over even in Citrus County in my area, down here towards the Tampa Lakeland area. She has an extensive background, but she also has that ARCA experience as well. So how important was it for her to jump in? Like how beneficial has it been to have that feedback from her, just knowing she has that experience in ARCA, she has that experience in racing? How important has that been just to the development of this car and obviously this team?
I think it's been crucial, because her only ARCA experience was Daytona and the testing and that. But she is so good at when she's in the car, and we've gone to several of her local races to watch her. But the feedback that she gives back to her crew chief and our crew chief now, her dad, she's, hey, it's a little loose here, a little tight here. It's so technical, but she is just rattling stuff off on the radio. Yeah. And so she really is working at her craft to get better. So to have a driver like her that doesn't already think they've arrived, even though she's accomplished a ton, is just a great blessing to have that resource on the team, that we're not trying to connect with somebody that's just there because they want to have a seat and write a check to race. She's invested in it. Her family's invested in it. So you can tell that passion when she's on the track, and she's like, hey, and then she's awesome because she go, oops, that one was on the driver, and really owns it. So that tells you the love she has for the sport. It's not just a hobby for her. It is a love and a passion of her being able to be in that seat and go around that track and hit those laps. And, so it's been fun to see that progression. And just from lap 1 to lap 128 at IRP, she became a better driver, in my opinion, just listening on the radio, things she's picking up on, learning where the lines were on the track, how the other drivers were going to react. So she's, within race, as a longtime coach, I always say, hey, we got to get 1% better today. She got way more than 1% better from just that one race. And
I can imagine you guys probably learned a lot too, just listening to the radio.
And that was the weekend of all the travel fiascos. Yeah. So half of our pit crew was stuck in Charlotte, 9 hours away, and even if we took the race car, it would have been about 8 hours. So they didn't make it. We had to scramble, find 2 guys at the pit to help us out and jump in. So we were all unloading it, and then what we had been told from some other drivers from the year before, the way they unloaded and things was totally different. So we get there, and basically we had to unload everything from the trailer, set it up inside the track, and I felt like our gear had a camp out that night on itself, just covered up, and then we came back the next morning, got things set up. So it was definitely a learning process, and watching and listening to our team, but also those around us. And again, the ARCA staff is so valuable, the little bit of wisdom, and they'll come up, hey, remember to do this, remember to do that, because they want to see everybody succeed.
Absolutely. Just talking about the prep work going behind this car, getting this car ready to go to IRP. Again, you mentioned, this has been a 4-month, basically a 4.5 month process. You don't see that a lot, especially at this level, and especially nowadays with the way NASCAR is. It's tougher for teams to get going and such, just given the fact that it is getting more expensive. Teams, you have to have that financial backing and such. So, but to be able to prep this car for IRP, just talk about what went into getting it ready for that race, and and just overall seeing it completed, being able to be on track. And you mentioned you guys have mentioned in a previous interview, I can't remember if it was you or Stuart, you guys have mentioned you guys want to be competitive. You guys want to race. You don't want to just be a start and park team. So that's a big testament to, I think, where you guys are trying to achieve and how you guys are continuing to try to grow.
And I think it's a huge testament to the Weiss family as our owners and his commitment to excellence. I've known each other. We've been friends a long time. We're like family. And he is not going to settle for second best. So we want to be competitive. We know it's going to take time. We're going to have growing pains like we did at IRP. But that we are constantly working to get better. We've got a saying that, we've got to maximize our opportunities, minimize our mistakes, and realize our goals. So every day, that's how we come to work in the shop. And our mechanics do it. Tom does it. Becca, Stuart is our owner, myself, and dealing with all the logistics and everything else, is we are going to give our best effort every day because we know that's going to pay off at the track.
Absolutely.
And to be competitive, ARCA is very tough. Obviously, there's the big money teams like the Joe Gibbs and the Venturini, and they can buy speed and then have some good drivers. So we know there's some certain spots that it's going to take even a little bit longer to get to. But we really feel like if we will do our jobs and work hard, we can get in there in that top 12 to 16 on a consistent basis in the next 2 years, hopefully, and then climb past that. And then, as we've seen with some of the races, when cars go out, you've got opportunity to go higher than that. But I think it's really just the attitude you bring to work every day is load the lunch pail. You come in, you get on the ground. Right now, our owner, Stuart, is out there putting the decals on the car to get ready for an event tonight, because it literally is a passion and everybody is invested in it.
And that's what I think is great about this team is, and you don't see that a lot with Joe Gibbs. Like Joe Gibbs isn't out there putting stickers on the car. I think is a testament to the amount of hard work that you guys are willing to put in to make this a success and to hopefully maybe bring home top 10s and top 5s and hopefully a win at some point down the road. And especially in ARCA where the series is constantly evolving. It's becoming a lot younger as well. There are chances for you guys to be competitive in a series like this, which I think is really cool for a local town team to be able to have that opportunity and kind of build a name up in this area and also nationally as well.
Right, and I think all the opportunity is there for the taking. But we got to work for it. Nobody, the only place that success comes before work is in the dictionary. So we know that. And again, to have an owner like Stuart that is committed to getting us to that point, finding the financial resources, finding the network of technical advice, finding the right cars and right things, is just because ARCA is such an open series, and we, just in the time we've started being involved since the beginning of this year, seeing the growth in the series, like IRP, it was one of the biggest fields they've had in years. So it's neat to see that growth, and we're excited just to be a part of that. But you got to work at it every day. We're never going to show up to the track and they're going to go, "Oh, you guys showed up. Tell you what, you're a top 5 car." You got to put some work in and have no excuses to get those things done.
You were at Daytona. You talked about that earlier, and then you also obviously at IRP. What were you able to take away just kind of seeing what some of the other teams were doing as well? I mean, I imagine being around some of those teams like a Joe Gibbs, like a Venturi. Obviously, you guys aren't at that point yet, but you hope to strive to be up towards that top echelon of teams in ARCA. So were there things you were able to kind of take away, just seeing how teams kind of handle themselves and do their work and stuff? Were you able to take away a lot of things from those experiences being around the garages?
Oh, absolutely. We also had a chance to go to Talladega, so we were in the pits there, and so we were at Daytona, Talladega as observers, and then IRP doing it. But from the big teams like Venturini and Gibbs to teams like Fast Track and, when Willie Mullins was at Daytona, and a lot of the single car teams, seeing a Greg Van Alst, and we got to speak to a lot of them, and they were just so forthcoming with the knowledge. And then for us to be able to sit back and go, okay, they talked about doing these things in the way that, some of them might have 7 guys working on the car, some have 2, but that they have a plan, the approach they have to it, we were taking pictures of every little toolbox we could see that they pulled through tech with them. And so we started at, IRP with one toolbox. We're like, okay, this isn't what we need. we've now bought a different toolbox that we can take everything we need to tech. So if you observe, I think you're going to get all the clues you need to find success.
Absolutely.
And obviously there's teams that are first place and last place every week. So we try to watch those teams that are that top spot that we want to be in one day, and rubbing shoulders and fenders, hopefully not too much of a fender, with them. And it is a learning process to go, okay, here's somebody, they're really getting after it, doing it right. And this team is just starting, they're sort of like us, okay, what could we change from that? And we've been able to ask them, hey, what would you tell us from year 1 to year 2 to year 5? And we've gotten some great advice with that.
Race 1 didn't go the way you guys would have hoped. Obviously,
right.
Getting into the crash, unfortunately, you just can't deal with that. And some things happen in racing. That's just how racing is, especially at the NASCAR level. But, I mean, talk about now going into this process of rebuilding the car. I mean, getting the new body, being able to kind of tool with a new system. How does that help you guys out in the long term? I know, again, not the ending you guys would have wanted at IRP for your first race, but you do get some valuable experience on what it's like to go through this process of wrecking a car, having to rebuild it a little bit. So that actually probably helps you guys a lot in regards to understanding this process now heading into the races down the road.
Right, and I think number one, that Becca already has talked about the lessons she learned from lap 1 through lap 128 with the crash happened. She's like, okay, hey, this is sort of what I feel led to it. Now she knows. And she really took ownership of, hey, I'm the one in the in the seat, and we were like, we're good, and she's just so passionate about it. So she's learning her lesson. She's going back, watching video, trying to find simulator time to get ready for the next one, and then even just us going, okay, from our first ever pit stop in ARCA, oh, it's a 5-minute stop. Sounds well and good. But we had a brand new pit crew that had never been there, because when we tested, the pit crew that helped us at the race had travel issues, didn't get there. So we had to overcome some of those challenges. But without some struggle, there's no growth. So now we've learned, okay, hey, even in how we're setting up our trailer, the pit boxes, we're looking for a new pit box actually that we feel will be a little bit better for us. We went and bought 2 new pit guns. Okay, hey, we need to have twice this amount of these things, and okay, have 100 more zip ties than you ever think you might need. And then just, again, the resources of the network that we've been able to build was we were able to make a phone call. Okay, hey, you were recommended to us to fix the body. He got it done in less than 2 weeks. We've got it back in our hands. So it is a learning process. Because Andy Stanley is a great leader that I follow a lot, and he says if you don't understand what helps you when you're winning and being successful, you can't fix those things when something goes wrong.
Absolutely.
So we're trying to study the success and the failures that we had in this 4 months to get us ready for 60 days from now, as of the day of the interview, roughly, to be ready to go to Toledo, Ohio, and take the next step as our team.
Toledo's another short track as well. Obviously, you guys were at IRP. That's a short track as well. I know you guys were saying you were going to go to Bristol. Is that still on the plans, or has that changed? I know obviously this probably has put a wrench in something.
This changed it a little bit, and we think that probably going to Toledo will replace trying to add Bristol as well. And just schedule-wise and just learning, first year we've gotten some advice about Bristol is not an easy track. So he said, you know what, let's back off of that. We know Becca's a great short track racer, so let's get to Toledo. Bristol's so much of the Coliseum look, and it's sort of a self-cleaning track. You make one mistake, something happens. So let's do that this time next year once we have some experience. And so that's why we looked at Toledo and changed some things around to be able to do that.
So is the focus going to be short tracks for the time being, and maybe grow as we
for the rest of this year? We're probably just going to do Toledo, but then the goal is October 6th. We're getting ready to prep a car for Daytona. We're working on some things with that for additional sponsorships and getting a super speedway car, plus having a short track car, some things like that. So we're working on that. We're looking for those sponsors, and I think having one of the few females in ARCA racing and being a solo team, I think we'll be able to find some sponsors that want to support that kind of work and effort of doing that, that aren't going to be with a big money team that are looking for opportunities like us. That's why, Orlando Health has blessed us wanting to partner. So I think October 6th, now everything is for, I believe it's February 15th, if I looked right. ARCA, we're going to be on that track racing. When we walked in to the Daytona weekend this year, Stuart and I we were walking in, showed our passes, and as soon as we stepped in the pit area, he goes, the next time I walk in here, we're going to be a race team. And I was like, okay. Because I was just starting to even learn what that meant.
Yeah.
But that's the commitment he has to this team is we are going to race here. Not, man, I hope one day, hope is not a plan. Mm-hmm. So it's exciting to know we've got everything on the calendar and seeing what next year is. I know there's not a lot of dates out for next year, but we know somewhat the sequence. And then things can always be changed, I guess, and added in there from the ARCA side. But we're just looking, okay, give us a calendar. Yeah. Let's get it on, let's get it in the planner, get it on the iPhone so we know what's coming up.
And I feel like Daytona is one of those tracks where you go in, you walk in, you see the high banks, and you're like, I want to be on this.
Right.
Like, we want to be competing on this track. I just feel like that's one of those tracks where it's kind of like that.
And it's just, I think, the romance of, as a team, and again, from us with being able to provide value back to sponsors, to be able to go, as I'm talking to people now, we'll be at Daytona. What, you're going to be racing Daytona? Oh, like an off week? No, we're racing the same weekend as the Daytona 500. Yeah. Oh, so less than a year into racing, or right at a year, we'll be at Daytona racing is going to be sort of surreal when that happens to go, okay, oh, we're not watching anymore. We're watching our car.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Talk about Orlando Health a little bit. They have been a huge help for you guys. Obviously, this is a company that is very big into motorsports. You see a lot of their, I think Florida Health or one of them, it might be Advent Health.
Advent Health
is the NASCAR one. But Orlando Health is still a pretty big sponsor to have on. They're a local sponsor as well. That's something that you guys pride yourselves is to try to get that local recognition on that national stage. Talk about how important they have been in this process of getting you guys to where you are now and just being able to help you guys. Obviously, you have a big event tonight.
Right.
So that's really huge to be able to not only get you guys a little bit recognized, but also to have that support as well from a big sponsor like that.
And they're growing so much. I mean, they sponsor the Rays. They're sponsoring so many teams across the state. Orlando Soccer. Yeah. So they've got a vision. We're the first time they've ever ventured into motorsports. And so we're blessed that their leadership has that vision to say, we've never done this before, doesn't mean we can't. And so they've jumped on board and said, okay, let's roll. And as we've had those meetings and Stuart's continued to talk with them, because of the relationship we've had with them, they've said, hey, here's this event. We're going to be at grand openings of facilities. They're opening a huge hospital here in Lakeland that's really going to give our Lakeland residents another choice in great health care. And across the spectrum, they've got so many best of awards. If they were a race shop, their walls would be full with banners of best of orthopedic, cancer care, physical therapy. So it's a blessing for us to be affiliated with someone that's the best at what they're doing. Absolutely. And continuing to expand. But just like us, they're continuing to find ways to see positive growth and take new avenues. And I mean, they're heavily involved with UCF, and my daughter's a UCF grad now this year. I played there, so we're happy to see that connection and see that competitiveness that they really endorse and get behind. And not often would you have a huge company, a multi-billion-dollar company like Orlando Health, take a chance on a startup race team out of Lakeland, Florida. But it shows the importance of relationships and integrity in those relationships that we've had for years to take a step with it. But without their support, we're not at IRP, we're not doing any of this, we're not repairing the car, we're not looking forward to next year. It would be, well, okay, we got one race in, let's see if we can get anybody else. And I see, how a lot of other teams have to market, and okay, we're going to do these stickers at this price and do this and do that. Orlando Health allows us to have that main sponsor, gives us a little bit of credibility coming into the sport to have an established sponsor like that. And we know that we're going to be able to grow with them the same way that they're growing as a company.
And what's great too is also you guys are looking for sponsorships, and you guys are focusing on this area and trying to be able to bring in companies that are local to this area. I think that's really cool. It's a great opportunity because in ARCA, there is opportunities to sponsor, and especially with you guys are offering a really affordable deal for people to be able to jump on a car and have their logo there, even if it's a small logo on the side of the car. It's still a pretty cool thing as a brand to be able to say, I'm on the side of a NASCAR ARCA car. That's a huge deal, and I think you don't see those opportunities come up, but with you guys, I feel like you offer that a really good opportunity.
And that's why we offer what we call the Lakeland lid. And we were trying to find a way. We said, okay, hey, we've got the deck lid still back there. What can we do? And I'm involved in some networking groups, and sort of said, okay, well, man, we'd love to get someone on there. And one day I came in, and we walked over the car, and I said, okay, stay with me, Coach. I said, what do you think about if we called this the Lakeland lid and we did this? So for $250 a race, companies get their name on there. We shouted them out from the track. We did a social media post. We had some videos we were doing as we were doing it. And now that evolved into, we've got a Swan Brewing they had a watch party for us. I'm like, how many first-year teams, first race, have a watch party with 100 people coming to sit at a local brewery, watch a local team and a local driver? We're getting videos from it. I was like, I'm excited to be at the race, but it would be cool if I could be in two places at once because we're getting all these awesome reports. And now we're probably going to expand that partnership because of their vision of, hey, we're local too, but we've grown. So it is neat to give some of those companies and just talking to businesses like, hey, you can start here if you want. When? For that? Okay. I'll bring you a check tomorrow. We get the sticker and it's on there. Right now, the guy wrapping the car for us, local business. Here in Lakeland, and we're just trying to keep those ties going.
Absolutely.
Because it's like when you see the hometown heroes like Chastain, people down in Alva, Florida. Number one, you only know Alva if you were down there at some point, and the Alva Diner's got some great chicken fried steak. But those people are probably so excited when he made it big, and now there's going to be people watching Becca and our team as we're growing and as we add cars and drivers down the road going, I knew them when, and I was on the lid, and now they're the quarter panel sponsor, and they're diving 100% in. So, and we've got some things that we're working on trying to get some local companies that are expanding going, hey, let's get you here and trying to make some contacts and get someone to pick up a phone or return an email is a definite battle some days.
How cool is it? I mean, obviously, you want to continue to grow the team, and being able to be at this level is a huge help. Being able to start an ARCA allows you guys to really be able to grow. But not only that, to be able to get eyes on this city in Lakeland. It's a great city. There's a lot of things to do in this area. And to be kind of building up this racing culture in the area as well, that's got to be something really cool. You guys are... It's almost like rooting for your favorite sports. You guys are the hometown team. I think that's really cool because... racing. There's a few tracks around the area, but you guys are kind of you guys are kind of becoming the mainstay here, if you will. And I think that's really cool to be able to give Lakeland some light, and you guys kind of give that opportunity, especially being able to also grow racing in the area as well. And
there's so many unique opportunities in Lakeland, and the growth is tremendous. And we've gotten to work with I Am Lakeland. We've been on their podcast, and he is all about Lakeland. And we're number 85. Lakeland was incorporated as a city in 1885.
Really?
So, we're trying to represent that, put that on the car. You look at downtown where we're going to be tonight with this event that we're in, and so many things that have grown. And same concept, though, is somebody planted a seed and said, hey, what if? And instead of just staying on the what if question, like, what if I? So when we insert ourselves into that equation, like so many other businesses now, we're all representing Lakeland in the 863 with a lot of pride, and we hope that there's going to be little bars and restaurants all over the area going, oh, we got to have a watch party because they're racing this weekend in ARCA. We're on Fox Sports 1. We're not just on some like Wayne's World back in the day, some local cable access channel. We're on Fox Sports, representing Lakeland, Florida.
Absolutely.
And again, it goes back to what a great opportunity for a local business to show that they invest locally and support a team that's trying to grow like their business is, those make for great partnerships.
Absolutely. And not only that as well, you're also with Becca being a female driver, you're seeing the growth in women racing. I think it's awesome to see the amount of really talented female drivers in racing, whether that be in NASCAR and in IMSA and any sport that you look at. It's continuing to grow. How cool is it to be able to have Becca behind the wheel representing the female side of racing and really just kind of being an inspiration to women in this area, in the state of Florida, and even across the country with you guys being on national television. It's cool to be able to represent NASCAR and represent racing with her and being a female and her, really performing at a very high level as well.
And she is such a great role model for those girls because she's not just a great racer skill-wise, she is a great person. She's that all-American girl. You could point to her and say, okay, hey, when you grow up, you ought to be like her. And in fact, our car, we did a Name the Car contest. It's called Sadie. And there's a young girl, I believe she's 9 now. Don't 100% quote me, so sorry, Sadie. But Sadie Parsons is she does local tracks too, and she's been winning. And every time she can be around Becca, she's there. She came to our testing. We got the cutest pictures in the world of her sitting behind the wheel. And when we asked her, it's like, you want to get behind the wheel? Yeah. So Becca is representing that. And there's, again, Tony and Amber in ARCA right now, and, some more that are just jumping in. I know Venturini just signed another one. So it's neat to see that. And I'm a girl dad, and, I'll put her up against anybody too. But it's the fact that all of those, that Amber and Tony and Becca, we don't have to just go, oh, they're pretty good for a girl driver. They are great race car drivers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't even have to try to qualify to go, well, yeah, she's, some people say, well, for a girl, she's about, no, she's a great race car driver.
Yeah.
Ask all the boys that have been seeing the bumper of her pro truck at all the local tracks of how good of a driver she is. So she's a great driver, and we're blessed to be able to have her representing our team, being a part of the City Garage Motorsports family, with her family literally at the track as we're sitting there together watching. It's sort of neat to see her mom and dad taking pride in it, but we take pride in how well she's doing and how much she learned as a part of the CGM family.
Absolutely. And I'll leave off on this. I'll hopefully get to talk to Stuart later.
Yep.
I'd love to get the chance to talk to him as well, and we'll obviously take a tour of the garage here, and that'll be on our YouTube page and obviously on this article as well. You'll probably be listening to this to all our ARD fans out there, and again, Jason, thanks so much for the time to talk. Obviously,
we appreciate you coming out.
I really appreciate it. I'm happy to be able to cover the local stories, and not only that, being able to see you guys grow on a national level is awesome. But I want to close out on this. What's next for CGM? If you come into the garage here, you guys do more than just ARCA Menards. You guys have almost like a full workshop. You guys do auto repairs. I mean, you guys are a full working shop. People can come in and bring their car and get it fixed.
Right. You can get your car in City Garage. We're on Cumbia Road here in Lakeland. Get your car fixed at the same place that fixes the number 85 ARCA professional race car. We do basically everything except transmissions and body work. And for us, we can look at big picture, what's next, but our focus is what's the next lap bring, what's the next race. Because I think so far we can get so focused on the future that we're not planning and preparing for literally what's in front of our face. So for us, our approach is, I've got my planner, I've got things written down that is way down the future. But for us, it's okay. We're one day closer to October 5th. We're 61 days. We're 60. We got a countdown clock. You can get some video of. We've literally got it counting down in the shop with the days, the minutes, the hours of here's what's next. And that's what we've got to be ready for.
I love it. Where can people support the team? Where can they find you guys? How can they get involved as well with the team? I imagine there may be some people listening who may want to maybe sponsor the team at some point.
Absolutely.
So where can they get involved?
Number one is follow us on social media. Instagram and Twitter is CG Motorsports FL. We're on there. We're on Facebook as City Garage Motorsports. The website is citygaragemotorsports.com. And we've got all kinds of information to contact me about being a sponsor. And again, we start at $250 a race opportunities, go up from there. My email is jason@citygaragemotorsports.com. We'd love to have them come visit the shop. I'll go visit them. They can see it. Have them meet the driver, and let's get them on the car, be involved with the team, and come by and see the car when it's here in the shop between races, and enjoy being a fan of having a professional race team here in Florida.
Absolutely. It's really cool. It's a neat opportunity to see a local team going on a national level, being able to promote this area, and obviously the state of Florida as well. Jason, thanks so much for taking the time to talk. Really do appreciate it, and obviously we'll be taking a tour here in a little bit, so we'll have more to come here for the City Garage Motorsports team coming up on the YouTube page and also on our article here on Auto Racing Digest. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace out.